Okay, you guys, we are live. I'm back. It's Real Talk with Riah, brought to you this week by Monster Energy Extra Gold. What? Just kidding. Not brought to you. I'm brought to you by that because I need extra energy. We are here today to talk about increasing your bandwidth. This is something that I think everybody could use some additional help with. And we've been talking a little bit about it on our in our group and having discussions about what having bandwidth means and how to increase it. So I just thought we would just bring it in here. Let's start with, what does it mean to have bandwidth? What is the mental and emotional capacity to have the ability to deal with a variety of situations? So I like to give the spoon analogy, which I always mess up, and I don't know who to credit it to. So forgive me, person who came up with the spoon analogy. But I believe it was originally put in place for people who had autoimmune disease and or Lyme disease. And the thought process is that you wake up every morning with a certain amount of spoons, and every activity that you do costs you a spoon or two or three or whatever it might be. And that same activity one day may cost you a certain number of spoons, and another day costs you another amount of spoons. And at some point, you run out of spoons. So for somebody who's, say, neurotypical, they may have spoons that overfloweth and they get their extra workout in. And then at the end of the day, they're like, oh, this was just great. I'm going to put all these spoons on my side table and I have all these extra spoons. And for other people, just getting out of bed costs them half their spoons. And so, dealing with chronic illness, chronic pain, any type of, being neurodivergent, like having ADHD, autism spectrum, people who have autoimmune disease, or just, low energy. Like if you are just overdone, having the bandwidth to be able to get through a variety of situations, whether that be life or a business, can be quite a challenge. So, how managing your energy affects your bandwidth. And actually, I was looking at my notes here. So, the spoon theory, I have the notes. It's from Christine Miserandino. So it's just these little, the spoons are a unit of energy. So managing your energy affects your bandwidth, means know when your energy is at its highest, know when your energy is at its lowest. Know what activities really affect your energy and your bandwidth. Know what activities are energizing for you, and then plan your life around these things. One of the tools that I use personally that I love so much for myself is the extended disc assessment. Talks about what my strengths are, and it also talks about what really drains my energy. And so if I know that I have to do something that's going to drain my energy, then I give myself more grace in that area. And you too can do the same thing. If you know something is really draining for you, then you want to give yourself more grace in that area and maybe some time afterwards to recover, bounce back, whatever it might be. Things that could affect your bandwidth and energy really are, the things that are going to get put off and maybe avoided or tucked away. So how do you avoid multitasking too much and procrastinating too much? And I have lots of tools. The one that I use the most is this guy right here. I do have an iPad Pro, which I love. But this is an older iPad, and I have an iPencil. So I use it like like I'm literally carrying around a legal pad with me, and I write everything down that comes out of my head. And I have PDF versions of planners in there, and I have just so many things. But what I'm doing is I'm setting things as they come to me. I'm putting them in writing so that they don't get lost. And then I'm putting them in actionable steps for the time that I have the bandwidth to actually deal with that. So, for example, I just met with a business coach, and we came up with a whole bunch of really cool ideas. And a lot of them are multi-step, gonna take some time for me to sit down and figure out what's the whole process. One of them being, I would like to get woman-owned certified. And it's a really complex procedure. And so she gave me some resources, and I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm not going to sit down and do that right now. Like right now I'm on a live stream, and I was like, got to throw my hair together and get some really bright lipstick on and, be presentable and give this content out. I'm not going to do that right now. So I wrote it down so that when I have the time, I can plug it back into the places where I do have my actionable items stored, which for me is a project management software. Some people do have to-do lists. Some people use Excel. Some people use whatever. I've not been shy. I use Monday.com is the one that I use. I'm actually thinking about switching to ClickUp, which scares the crap out of me because it's so like robust that it's not even funny. But it doesn't matter where you put it. It's just that it's a place that you won't forget it, and that you can come back to it when you have the energy, when you have the bandwidth. And it helps you feel like you've taken an actionable step in a time that you didn't really have the bandwidth to do it. It's not that you have to get things done when you don't have the bandwidth. It's that you have to set yourself up for success. So, just recapping, what does bandwidth mean? Bandwidth is the mental and emotional capacity to deal with a variety of situations, whether that be your work, your business, your kids, your husband, your wife, your partner, your pet, for God's sakes. Those pets can be demanding. We know this. My daughter is here, and her pet is, his name is Oliver, or Ollie for short, and we call him Mr. Meows, and he demands a little bit of attention. He needs to have a little love. Otherwise, he meows at us, which is why he's Mr. Meows. What does managing your energy have to do with affecting your bandwidth? We're talking about really managing and paying attention to these units of energy and how much the different activities in our life take up those units of energy. As well as that, what activities are more energizing for us and what activities are more draining for us. And thirdly, what times of day do we experience more activity, activating energy, and what times of day are we more drained? So mornings, I've never been a morning person, but I'm able to do like networking type activity in the morning. Midday is like a wash for me, like really hard for me to get anything done midday. But by late afternoon and evening, I'm like on fire. That's like my major time of productivity. So multitasking and procrastination, avoiding this is writing it down and then putting it in a place where you can come back to it when you have the energy. So again, you don't have to do it when you don't have the energy. You just have to set yourself up for success. So this has been Real Talk with Riah, increasing your bandwidth. I hope it's been helpful for you guys. And I just look forward to coming back and joining you guys again soon. Thank you for all that you do. And we will just chat next week. Talk